the one controller to rule them all. Allegedly, this is supposed to be the best controller that you can ever have, ever. So it must mean that it's the best controller for emulation, right? Well, we'll find out. This is the 8bitdo SN30 Pro Plus. A little bit of a mouthful, but I got this version. It's used, so there's gonna be some battle scars, but for the most part, brand new-ish. I had heard several reviews, one by Wolfden, just glowing reviews. I was actually at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo in Georgia a few weeks ago, saw it on sale with an additional 7%. They were just trying to get rid of this thing. So I thought I could use an extra controller. So we're gonna unbox it, go over some of the specs, and then we're gonna do some tests. Got that case off. I'm already noticing it's a very premium package. I really like when you have the box lifts off that way. It makes me think I'm getting a new iPhone. Cover off, and then boom, money shot. Check that out. That is a nice looking controller. I really like the kind of like old school theme that they're going with, the SNES type color scheme. I kind of really dig it. You'll notice the battle scars are kind of right here on the thumbstick. There's like a little notch. I'm not sure if somebody was chewing on the thumbsticks, but for the most part, there's no other aesthetic damages. So this is pretty much what you're gonna get when you buy it brand new, unlike me, like the little discount gremlin that I am. This is one thing that also made me buy it is you have the two thumbsticks on the bottom, kind of like a PlayStation controller. I'm really liking the setup there. Got the D-pad on top. And then I wanna point out with these buttons, nice, very nice clicky buttons, feel very premium, very close to OEM. But if you'll notice, the first two right here, the A and B, are a little bit convex. And right here, they're a little bit concave, kind of like the original NES controller. And I haven't held an SNES controller in a while, but I assume similar to that as well. The start and select, really gummy and nice, just a nice premium rubber feel. Really, the whole controller just feels nice. Side buttons, triggers. Now, I want to complain about the triggers for just 1 second, but this is just a personal quip. I really would like a clicky trigger, like a hair trigger. These are very mushy, but I understand why they're doing them. They're analog triggers, and they're definitely doing that because this is something you're gonna want to use with every single system. And there's plenty of systems and games that are going to utilize that full range of motion on the trigger. And so we'll get to that here in a sec on the specs, but this is a good thing. I'm just annoyed. I want a clicky hair trigger. Nice clicks on the thumbsticks. And then we've got, I'm assuming, is a home button. And this I've actually looked up. This is a turbo button. I'd also like to point out that you can take this backing off. And although it already comes with its own proprietary rechargeable battery and USB Type-C, you can actually take this out and use regular batteries with it if you so fancy. Now, I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's a feature. Overall, the feel right out of the box is just really premium. I got this, all discounts and all, for around 35 bucks, but you're gonna find it retail for 40, 45. However, this just feels like a $60 deal, kind of like our sponsor. The sponsor is me. Hi, did you know I have a Patreon? I know, very quirky YouTuber of me. But seriously, it helps me continue putting out videos like these. So check out patreon.com/Boolean to have your name in future uploads, exclusive behind the scenes content, videos available early, and much, much more. Everything you've heard online is most likely true. Most are valid in considering that this is the ultimate controller, not because of the build quality and the looks, but mainly because of what it's got going on with the specs. So let's go ahead and highlight that. First of all, they've got a really intuitive program with a lot of different features. You've got remappable buttons just in case you're swapping from, let's say, like Nintendo to Xbox. Speaking of, not only can this thing connect to your Switch, but it can connect to Windows 7 and above, Android, Mac OS, Raspberry Pi, Bluetooth 2.0 and above, and it also says on the product page Steam. I'm not sure if that's Steam OS or just it has Steam compatibility, which in that case, I would just categorize that in Windows, but you know, it's there. It doesn't say specifically whether or not it has PlayStation or Xbox capabilities, but I would imagine so. If not, they have a handy dandy Bluetooth adapter that would definitely work with this and many other controllers, but that's for another review. Basically, it connects to pretty much everything. And that's why it's the ultimate emulation machine. The Raspberry Pi feature I really want to highlight, and the Windows and Mac OS. Honestly, Android too. Anything that you can connect this thing to, you can basically emulate any game ever. There's a large emulation community on the Android. You can kind of connect this to your mobile setup, especially with the clip that they sell online. Windows, that's kind of a given. Mac, if that's your fancy. I know that there's not a lot of Mac compatible controllers out there, so that's pretty cool. Back to all the cool stuff you can do with their program. There's a lot of the stuff that's gonna sound really familiar if you've used emulators. You can control the stick precision, which I found really interesting. Back to the triggers. As I complained earlier, I wanted kind of a hair trigger. Well, you can program the sensitivity of the triggers to have yourself a nice little hair trigger. However, man, I don't know. I like the click. What can I say? I'm an FPS guy. I want the click, but that's okay. That's a personal qualm. You can modify the intensity of the vibration, and they've got a seriously complex macro feature where you can assign an array of button presses onto one button through the program. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I'm not really going to use that feature, but I could definitely see that coming in handy and having its own uses. Some other side aspects to note, it's 222 grams in weight. It has 20 total play hours with a 4-hour charge time. And if you go on their website, there's an alternative option called the gamepad version that doesn't come with the grips right here and is more reminiscent of your retro style gaming controller. So I can definitely see its use for that. I just personally wouldn't choose that option. So I did a test where I did some kind of basic emulation. I played a little bit of Mario Kart on the GameCube and Wii emulators on my PC. I also did a little bit of Mario Kart 8 on the PC. Unfortunately, my PC doesn't have a Bluetooth adapter, so I did have to use a USB Type-C cable. Good thing though, if you have any data transfer USB Type-C cable, that will work and it'll register as an X input or D input. And I connected to my Switch, which is kind of one of the key highlights to this thing. I'm not really much of a retro game player on the Switch, so I just played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I guess I've just been in a Mario Kart phase recently. And again, I gotta highlight, the feel is just super, super nice. Also, at the time of making this video, I am aware they've released a Pro 2 version that has back paddle options. If that option was available, I definitely would have gotten that one. But aside from that, this thing is perfect. So if I put you onto something new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of stuff like this coming up. And with that being said, see you next time.